invocation.
Father God, we come before as humble as we know how. We give your name glory. We give your name honor, God. We ask you to cover those that have authority over us, God, to give us wisdom and knowledge, God, as we begin to make decisions concerning our county, God. We ask, God, that you would bless us in the name of Jesus. We pray, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
This is a regular meeting of the Hendry County Board of County Commissioners being held on Tuesday, November 14, 2017 at 5 p.m. in the City Commission Chambers in Wilson, Florida. In attendance are Chairman Michael Swindle, Vice Chair Darrell Harris, Commissioner Emma Berg, Commissioner Mitchell Wills, Commissioner Carson Turner, Assistant County Administrator Jennifer Davis, County Administrator Mark Lapp, and Clerk Barbara Dodd.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, before we get into the agenda, I would like to call Mr. Pat Linkford forward. I believe he has a presentation to make for us.
Thank you for moving me up. I appreciate it. I've got our excess fee check.
Who are you?
Pat Langford, Hendry County Tax Collector. I've got our excess fee check to give you this year for a total of $170,422.21. That's 45% higher than last year.
Wow.
And I'm proud of our staff. We've made some changes to save some money, to give you people money back, and also purchase some things we need at our office to do a better job. And they're falling right in line. This is not an I in the tax collector, it's a we, and they do a great job. They really do. We've got wonderful people. We've, in case you want to know some of the things we did.
Please, yeah, I was going to ask.
Would you like to know
that?
I brought a little. Well, one of the good things is the concealed weapons issuance. We make $22 every one we do. Like on a driver's license, we make $6.25, and we're trying to train more people so that people can come in and just get a license. They don't have to have an appointment, and word is getting around that you can just show up in LaBelle and get your license. So that's helping. It's working real good. Our employees are paying a little bit more toward their insurance. It's gone up, as everybody knows, but they're paying a little bit more, and they're just happy to have the type of insurance they have through our county. So there's no complaining there. We've moved 3 employees to part-time, and that's working out well for them and us. It's saving us money through the insurance again, and plus the payroll. We've added birth certificates issuance to LaBelle and Clewiston, but we don't do much in LaBelle because the health department does it. But over here in Clewiston, we're the only show in town, and it's working out good, and they do very good with it. So that's bringing us in some excess fees. And we're keeping our overtime under the allowed limits a lot better than we were. We're collecting more taxes by sending out letters to people that their property a certificate has been sold on it, and they might lose their property, and we're wording that in a way that a lot of them come in and pay their taxes to keep from losing their property. It helps them, and it helps the county. And we're working with hardship cases. We're setting up more people with installment plans that can't pay their taxes. We're letting them know more about the installment plan so that they can keep their land. They can't come up with $700 a year, but they can come up with it divided by 4 during the year.
Right.
A lot better.
Right.
And I approve every purchase that's made in the office. Nothing gets bought without my signature on it. And I think people aren't just buying office supplies and things like that we already got enough of,
Right, right.
And the other, we've cut down on wastefulness. I mean, I do some crazy things like I did in my other business. We use the front page and the back page of paper instead of just getting, that paper's expensive. I can't believe how much it is.
Don't grow on trees, yeah.
Yep. And another big savings is our new software system, eGov, our taxing software system. We negotiated the price. It's like $25,000 cheaper than the previous provider we had. And like I said before, our staff is awesome. They're just wonderful people. I think they tell us all the time how they love coming to Hendry County to pay their taxes or not pay their taxes. They're from Hendry County, but especially get their tags and their titles, their concealed weapons. So I can't say enough about our staff. And I appreciate you guys and ladies. What happened during the hurricane was horrible, and you've done a great job. I just want to take this opportunity to tell you that. So thank you very much.
Mr. Langford, if I could summarize what I'm hearing, what I heard you say was because of forward-thinking and proactive leadership on your part and your staff's part, you're able to present us a greater amount of money and by 45%. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you. That's remarkable. We greatly appreciate what you do there.
Well, we got some good people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here and doing that.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yep. Next thing on the agenda, put that big check. I don't want to put that check away. Put that where I can see it.
Hold on, mine.
I don't have anything under bids. Is that correct? So we'll move on to consent agenda. I've had a request to pull D1. Is there anything else from the board that needs to be pulled, discussed, or clarified? If not, then we'll entertain a motion to approve the balance.
Got a couple of questions for
Second.
D2.
D2. Okay, we're going to pull D1 and D2.
Have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the balance. Is there from Mr. Turner? Is there a second? Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Wills. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Attorney Lapp wanted to clarify D1 with us.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the staff recommendation just asked you to approve the listing agreement, but we also have a new lot here that's been added, which we're declaring surplus, so I need you to declare 728 Alabama Avenue as surplus and surplus.
Okay. Is there any questions about that? Can we move that as a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And D2, what questions might you have about that?
Just want to know, have there ever been any complaints filed in the past?
Any complaints?
I'm not, in my time here, I'm 11 years, I'm unaware of any. This is related to the federal Department of Justice grant that we pass through to the sheriff and the city, and we used to also include the school board, although they're not eligible anymore. But I'm not aware of any.
Okay. I was just curious if there had been any complaints.
Okay, very good. Seeing, you care to move a motion in on that behalf for D2?
I motion that we accept.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Byrd and second by Commissioner Turner to accept D2. Any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Awards, appearances, and presentations. I don't see anything on those either, so we'll move straight into public hearing. Ms. Hemlich?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
This is an ordinance presented to you that would be banning the medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities. With that, there's an amendment to the Land Development Code. I need to read some corrective language on the last page of the ordinance where it's section 1-53-3.8. It's a simple clarification, but I'm going to read it into the record. It says medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities, and then it goes on to, as an introductory, and then it goes on to say medical marijuana treatment center dispensing facilities described in Florida statutes 381.986 are hereby banned from being located within the boundaries of Hendry County. And with that, it would be appropriate for you all to consider adopting the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. This is a public hearing. Does any members of the public wish to address this issue? Anyone at all? Okay. Seeing none, any discussion from the board? Questions, clarifications?
No.
Seeing none. All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much, Ms. Hemlich. Is there a Part B?
Yes, Phil Strode, MSBU. This is housekeeping that didn't ever get cleaned up from years ago. There was a typo in my memo. I said the ordinance creating the MSBU was adopted in 2013, and actually it was adopted in 2003. But then in 2006, the board decided to terminate the MSBU, has not assessed any money since
Make a
then.
motion to approve option 1. Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wills to approve option 1. This as well as a public hearing, is that correct? Is there any members of the public wish to address this issue? Seeing none, any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Letters of correspondence for action. We have to act on the one to appoint Brett Kettler, is that correct? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve Brent Kettler to the Southwest Florida Workforce Development Board by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Any questions over correspondence? If not, we'll go straight to staff reports. Seeing no questions, then we will begin with the new and improved version of Charles Chapman. Ms. Jennifer Davis.
First item is the adoption of the schedule resolution and Margaret England has
Okay, welcome back.
Yes, it's good to see you. I didn't know what to say to that. Yeah, glad to be back. Anyway, as you may remember, last year we lowered many of our fees, and after lowering them, there were some fees that, after utilizing the fees and with the certain applications, we realized that we needed to make further clarifications or adjustments to lower some of the fees. The main one that we are changing, or ones that we're changing, have to do with the preliminary plat and the final plat. We had planned on making those changes for quite a while. We didn't make it in the 2016 request, and fortunately we didn't have any requests for plats since then. But I do know that there is somebody coming in soon to submit these, and instead of them having to pay a total of $8,500 in application fees, we've lowered it to be $3,500 for the application fees. And that includes preliminary plats, construction plan reviews, and final plats. The plats, the 2 plat reviews require public hearings and advertisements and so on, so they're, are a typical review that you'll see with the public hearings. And but unless you have any questions at this point, I guess it just matters of considering the ordinance for adoption.
Isn't this the true
Or the
definition?
resolution, I'm sorry.
Would this not be the true definition of trying to be business friendly?
Yeah.
And trying to establish a business friendly relationship with everyone? I don't know what else we could do. Commissioner Turner?
And we are in line with other counties.
Yes, sir. Actually, we've now lowered some of these fees below some other counties, including some of the heartland counties that we like to compare ourselves to.
Okeechobee,
Nice.
Yes, sir.
DeSoto. Okay.
Nice.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Any action tonight? We need to
Yes.
vote on moving forward with that, do we not?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Great job, Ms. Emledge. Would you like to continue?
Yes. This next agenda item is asking for authorization to resolve a mortgage default for property located at 719 Carolina Avenue in Clewiston. This property was the subject of a community development block grant mortgage, and for some reason, when it was rewarded to the property owners, it was only rewarded to one of the 4 property owners, which creates a challenge for us to resolve the default. So staff negotiated a resolution with 2 of the sons of the deceased mother to come up with a payment fee that would allow them to purchase the property and do it in a 2-year time frame. And this way, we wouldn't have to go through any additional steps such as a foreclosure. So that the staff's request is to approve the forgiveness of the $11,200 in the negotiated payment plan and authorize the chairman to sign a satisfaction of the CDBG mortgage and other documents that would be necessary to effect the resolution of this matter.
Okay.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion? I know that sometimes forgiving these is a little sticky. Anybody wish to discuss?
Yeah, I'm confused. I apologize for not meeting with you privately about this. So forgiveness of the $11,200 loan, leaving a balance of $20K. So there's still $20,000. What's the total number of the mortgage here?
The total number of the mortgage with the 20,000 plus that
So
was originally approved.
Is it 31.2?
I can address that. It's a $78,000 original mortgage that, per the terms of the CDBG typical mortgage, it's forgiven in 1/10 increments for each year that the mortgage holder resides in the home.
Okay.
So the lady who got the mortgage lived there for 6 years.
So it's 6/10
of 78,000 was forgiven.
Okay.
Leaving a balance of 31,200 when she passed.
Okay.
So that's the balance that's due, and if we foreclose, that's the amount that we'd be, if things were done right, that'd be what we were entitled to receive for the, what we're owed, if you will.
Right.
The problem is that a mistake was made when the mortgage was recorded, and you had 4 property owners and only 1 signed the mortgage, so the other 3 are not subject to the mortgage, so it's we can only foreclose on the 1/4 interest of the deceased, and that would result in a partition of the property, and we would get 1/4 of the proceeds of the courthouse, of the judicial sale, and that's after much effort, but we get 1/4 of whatever the proceeds are, and we just staff thought that the better approach here, since this was a county mistake in the way it was, the mortgage was prepared, to reach a compromise where they would pay, and we resolve it voluntarily, and we figured to give them incentive to pay, that we do a compromise amount, and that's where the 20,000 came from.
Okay.
Okay, so the county didn't get all 4 owners to sign on the loan documents. As is, we're reducing the balance accordingly.
Well, I would say accordingly, we're reducing the balance.
And so what is the end result? What's the net result to what the 3 owners are now being essentially given? What happens?
They're going to have to pay $20,000 over the next 2 years, and at the end of that, we'll give them a release and satisfaction. They own it free and clear. We've got $20,000 to put back into the housing fund to be used for somebody else.
And then what happens if you don't do it?
If we don't approve this, or if they don't pay.
No, if you don't approve it.
Okay, then I get your authorization, but we probably have a further discussion with them to see if there's any further hope of compromise, and or not compromise, them paying in full. And if they don't want to pay in full, then we would file a suit to foreclose. And if we won on that, there'd ultimately be a judicial sale, and it would be auctioned off, and whatever it was bid, the minimum bid would be $31,200, and then let's just say somebody paid $60,000 for it. We would get 1/4 of 60, and because that's all the interest that we had a lien on, and so we'd get 1/4 of 60, which is what's that?
15 grand.
15. So that's all we get, and we'd have all the hassle of a foreclosure, and these folks.
What's the status of 719 Carolina Avenue? Who's been to it?
What's your question?
What's the status of 719
Yeah,
Carolina
it's-
Avenue? Who's been to it?
it's-
That's my 2 questions.
I haven't been to it, but code enforcement and Sabrina Gadsden has been out there, the housing manager.
Is it in good shape?
Yeah, it's in good shape.
are one of the owners residing in it?
Currently, they are not residing in it, from what we understand, but the two of the brothers want to purchase it, and, that's all I know.
So the chances of us getting the 20,000 would be good since they won't purchase it.
Yes,
Okay, so they're willing to make those payments.
If they don't, then we get to foreclose and
right.
Okay.
get the 20.
And
Okay.
then we made the error to start with.
Yes, collectively, yes, the county, I'm not sure who prepared it, although, well, it does say our consultant prepared it, but it was a county consultant that prepared it.
Okay.
It's the third error tonight that we've recognized that the county's had. We gotta tighten up.
That's,
So there's gonna be a mortgage for 20,000 left at 833 per month, 833.33 for the next 24 months. Then it will be forgiven in total. They'll own the house free and clear. Pretty good deal. Okay.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I think we already did.
We have the motion. We're ready to vote? Where are we? Now I'm confused. Okay,
Mr. Harris made the motion,
got it.
Commissioner Burr.
Okay, any further discussion?
Just one, I'd like to know how many, I'd like to see a record of how many homes we have like this are in this program, what we've done in years past, and then what that housing program has in it. Obviously, we're gonna receive hopefully we're gonna receive 833 for the next 24 months. I'd love to see if we have other situations like this that are out there.
Not being paid, or is that what you mean?
Just
Or
overall status of them.
Yeah.
Do we have
20 houses?
good record,
Yeah.
bad record, indifferent? How's it
Right.
looking?
well, you'd already know that, but if it's bad,
I would say yes, we should, but I can't say we know them all.
I would say we have zero idea of what that
Yeah.
status is
And,
right now.
But we're
Of the
gonna find
conversation that I've had
I
today.
don't necessarily agree with that. I mean,
Okay.
we do know
Yep.
several of them.
You don't agree with a lot of things that I think about, Ms. Emlich, so, we'll move forward.
Okay.
that's okay too.
Yeah.
It is.
We don't have
That's
to
how the
agree.
world goes round.
We don't have to agree.
No, don't have to agree.
All right. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. And Ms. Papanoff.
Ms. Papanoff's not here, so. I'll
Okay.
This is requesting adoption of an MOU for the Southwest Florida Regional Planning.
Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding for brownfields.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is there any discussion from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
How long does it take for that to come about? If
It's every year.
Yeah, but did we see any evidence of anything?
I don't know how the cycle went last year, if we received anything, or if even the region received anything. I'm not really
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Because we should be.
We have two people on that board, myself and somebody else. I don't know if him. Are you going to the meeting in December?
Missed the last couple, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been going.
And Ms. Wilkins is for the city of LaBelle, so it might be good to ask her as well. She may know.
Okay.
And then Margaret would give us a report too. Ms. Worsley would. She'll come over.
This is actually due on Thursday, so.
Okay.
But y'all aren't doing a tremendous amount of work on this, right? Y'all are just kind of a pass through to Arcadia.
Okay. Next on the agenda, adopt a resolution reappointing 3 members to the Hendry County Industrial Development Authority.
I make a motion to approve the name submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Wills to approve the names submitted. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Mr. Parker is going to talk to us about a new mower.
Okay,
You just
For the
want
record-
an approval to buy that one from Glade Grove, right?
yes, sir, Glidden Grove.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries.
Hey Shane, when they give you a number, do you go back to them and hammer them just one more time? Or?
No,
You don't do it anyway, right?
no, I don't do it. I have my guys do it and make sure they line up apples to apples, and this one, your staff report only showed 2. I mean, we got a third one, and it was a Schulte mower, which is what we've been
Are you buying those on sheriff's bid contracts and stuff like that, or not?
No, we call them and ask them what they're doing. Sometimes
Okay.
it's state. But
Okay.
A lot of times
State
you can call and
contract.
ask. Like the
Yeah.
Glidden Grove was, if we didn't have it in stock, it'd have been 18,000. We happen to have one. We have boo, so you can
Okay.
have it for this.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so your staff's savvy enough to exercise the most economical deal for us.
Or you wait certain times of the year, you'll throw in a blower, or
Right,
you know.
right. Because I know when I sold
Interesting.
machinery, When I sold machinery, there was times where we would sell stuff on sheriff's bid because it was required by the counties, and sometimes you could waive bidding and stuff. But we would, by and large, we would have deals that would be better if you just bought it outright from us. But because it was a county or a government entity, we had to buy it off of that, or people had to buy them off of that. So, but I know you guys are doing that. So very good.
So, Commissioner, was that when you were with the school that you were doing that? Or
No,
when
no,
you
when
were selling.
I was selling
I got
machinery.
you.
Yep, yep, selling machinery. Next, Mr. Parker, you want to talk to us about the LaBelle Airport?
Yes, this is a supplemental.
Yeah, we voted, did we not? We voted, and Commissioner Turner asked a question.
We did vote.
Yeah.
We did vote.
The next item is the
Number
LaBelle
6.
Airport supplemental JPA. I did not have the attachments because they weren't ready by DOT, but I handed them out. This is a supplemental agreement bringing the total cost of the project to $89,406. Basically, they increased the project by 50, almost $52,000.
So moved.
Second.
No cost to the,
No cost to the county.
okay.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Turner. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? That motion passes.
Are y'all, is this one that's going to have a groundbreaking attached to it?
No.
No.
That's for the,
Okay.
That's a terminal.
yeah, the terminal building.
The next item I have is the Hendry County Mosquito Control MSBU expansion of assessment area. The MSBU is countywide, less the incorporated areas, doesn't mention a tribal lands. But we only assess certain pockets, and when they did the uniform method of collection of the MSBU assessment, they only applied it to certain populated areas of Hendry County, and it actually didn't cover all the populated areas, and since then we've had new areas populate in the rural counties, in the rural section of the county. And if you was to come forward and say, I'm going to develop a subdivision here and they want to be assessed, I'd have to go through this process. We also have certain areas in Port LaBelle which are not treated for mosquitoes from the Port LaBelle CDD or the various HOAs, and we've had to go in the past to do mosquito control activities. And so in order to bring those folks in or other folks that may be willing to come in, we need to have this uniform method of collection in place. So my recommendation is you do it for the whole county. You only assess the areas that need to be assessed. We're not assessing grove and pastures and stuff off Key Rye Road. We want to assess the areas that need to be assessed.
Okay.
So,
Is that the areas that call you and you
Well,
know about?
yes, I've got a lot of landowners that want to be assessed, but they're not set up in that uniform method of collections. I have to send them a letter. I got neighbors that call all the time about mosquitoes in Port LaBelle, but they're not treated by anybody. I'd like to go ahead and nip that in the bud and add those areas that we do know we treat. We got certain extras areas of Wheeler Road where we do treat, but they're not being assessed. We want to get that cleaned up. We have certain neighbors call in all the time asking to be added. We can't add them.
Is that a majority of people or just a handful?
Well, Port LaBelle, that's most of our complaints come from Port LaBelle. I mean, we get stuff from Pioneer where they're assessed. We get a lot from Port LaBelle. Who's treating us? Who's doing this? And I'm not using this platform to beat up Port LaBelle CDD or Unit 4. There's just people, when you say, hey, you're spraying, they go, what about Port LaBelle? Well, we don't do anything in Port LaBelle.
Right.
And then when people do stuff, there's certain blocks like Country Village, Tanglewood Oaks, Castle and Terrace, Laurel Oaks. None of them are treated. And there's a significant population there.
And they don't get treatment from anyone.
They don't get treatment for nobody unless we're called in to do something by the health department to help control mosquitoes. And we've done that in the past.
Then you have to pay for it out of your fund.
No, state pays for it.
No, I pay for it out of my fund.
So the health department issues, so the state of Florida issues us to go out and fix something. We
They say
get to pay
they're-
for it out of our fund?
They say if there's an issue over here, they won't tell you exactly where you need to treat for mosquitoes over here. Then we do that because we don't want the virus to spread if there is a virus. So
You don't have no choice.
it's for the betterment of the county, and it's a health issue, so you handle the issue the
But
best
what
you
you're
can.
telling us is you're going to clean that up, and you're going to.
That's what I want to do.
That's
And
right.
then in the past, and I'll talk to Commissioner Byrd about it, and I got to get with her so she can have data for a community meeting, but there was talk one time by the prior commissioner about Harlem being serviced by Hendry County for mosquito control and not the city of Clewiston. I don't know if her community wants to go that route, but even if her community voted yes and said we want to do it, if I don't have this public hearing by December, then if her community voted yes, we'd have to wait a whole another year. and we couldn't add them. And I'm not trying to steal nothing from the city of Clueless, it's just whatever the community of Harlem wants to do. And if Port LaBelle CDD decides, you know what, we don't want to treat the mosquitoes, we want Hendry County to handle the Port LaBelle CD section, and I'm not saying they do, but if they wanted us to, this would give us the avenue to do it should times change. And if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. But the public hearing was held.
With
So-
that being said, if you don't have to do it right now, but make sure you give me the difference in the pricing from the city to the county.
I will do that.
Is it, they use Clark also, don't they?
They use Clark. They don't spray as much as we do, but they use Clark. Unit 4 HOA, they use Clark. They don't spray as much as we do.
I would say the price would be the same. It would be the matter of how many times you spray. Yeah.
I mean, our rates are definitely going to be cheaper because we do more than they do.
So is it $30?
They would be assessed the same thing we are. $30 per, I think it's $30 per acre, per lot. Can't remember.
I think it's price per unit. I think it's $31 per dwelling.
But this is just a cleanup measure. If you had a new subdivision come in, they built, we couldn't assess them because we didn't go through the uniform method of collection.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think we absolutely need to do it, especially on the brink of a potential lot of subdivision / industrial and everything else that may populate. So, absolutely. Any further questions?
If you wanted to assess that area, do you have to go through a public hearing, or can you automatically do it?
Well, what I'm asking, I'm asking for a public hearing
Okay.
for December, and there'll be another public hearing. They'll get letters sent to them saying, we're going to add you, and they can come before the board, and they can say, no, we
Right.
don't want to, or I guess we
Okay.
want to.
As long as you do that, because I've had them call me and said, rather than pay $30, let the mosquitoes bite.
Right,
So,
I understand.
Do you
Okay.
anticipate that we'll have a lot of fallout? Like, we'll have a handful of communities that just say, we're getting
I
nothing,
think-
so we just want to step away?
No, I think some places, I don't think you'll have a fallout at all. And I think you may have some people are confused thinking, I'm getting assessed and I live in the hinterlands, but that's not the intent. The intent is only to assess the populated areas where it's dense. We don't want to assess anything over off Church Road. That's not the
when they
intent.
bite, they're willing to pay.
Yeah, that's true.
And when they're not biting, they're not willing to pay.
So we need, to be clear, we need a
Should've
motion.
done this sooner, right?
We need a motion to approve for you to advertise for a public hearing for December. Is that
So
correct?
moved.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Turner. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, so Shane, you're asking for the ability to advertise and create the conversation to allow for the uniform method of assessment to occur, which doesn't exist currently. And then in turn, this is going to be a pretty large letter campaign that goes out to all of the constituents within the county. And then, or is it just to those that are not being assessed currently?
It will go to all of unincorporated Henry County, less the Seminole tribe.
Yes.
And then that'll be the collection method. And then when we go to the next public hearing, we're going to send letters out to the people that we're looking to assess.
Okay.
So they can be notified. Sort of like Murray Road, we had a large area that we did the same collection method, public hearing, but we only assessed like 6 people out of that whole block because the rest of them there was no benefit.
What you need to do is wait till the mosquitoes start biting before you send the letters out.
And then Shane, one other thing that occurred, you did look into how much money it would cost to put the plane up more frequently.
I did.
And I mean, it completely blew the bank out of the water at our current assessment rate, right?
Right.
And so, did you also look at if we doubled or quadrupled the assessment?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be good language to have on hand when we do this, just in case. I anticipate we're going to have a fair amount of people that say, for what I'm getting, I'd rather not pay nothing. If you're willing to put the plane up more, I'm willing to pay more. That's a sentiment that I've heard a number of times, but I don't know what those numbers are. I don't know if it goes to 200 or.
I have them made
Okay.
up.
Y'all still spraying?
We cut back some. We're probably going to stop altogether. I'm
Okay.
waiting on the latest trap counts to come in. More than likely, I'm just going to cut it off.
I
The
thought
weather's
I heard
cooler.
the truck last night.
They did. We set traps. I told them to keep setting traps because the weather was a little fluky, but typically we stop in November.
Okay. Any further questions? Go ahead.
You've looked at the numbers. You do not feel this is something that if we bought chemical, purchased a truck, a couple gators or whatever, bring this in-house, this is not a cost
I
savings.
don't
Okay.
want to do that.
You don't want to mess with those chemicals.
That's more employees.
They are Clark, don't
It's a weird deal.
they? Yeah.
And I've talked to Osceola County. Man, they're blown away with what we're paying. And they've thrown a lot of grand.
Well, the onus can be on us to
Yeah.
look into that.
I think it
Well,
looks
when
good.
you pay somebody. That's where all your money goes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Chairman, I have two more items for
Go
you.
right ahead.
One of them I emailed out earlier, resolution authorizing staff and equipment and their signed contracts to clear debris within right-of-ways of private roadways in Henry County. We've cleared up the majority of the county roads. We moved on to private roads. We've got the right of entries. We made a formal application for reimbursement to the state. I believe Janet Pampinall handled that, but in looking at it, one thing they said we needed is a resolution. And
So moved.
Motion moved by Commissioner Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wills. Any discussion with the board, questions, clarifications? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. I have non-related, it is somewhat related, but now all of a sudden I'm starting to see piles of stuff on 80 that it doesn't look, and 27.
Yes, 27.
Surely you saw that, right? Right next to Three Brothers. That's dangerous.
I didn't see Three Brothers, but I've seen it all down.
You'll see it going on.
It's
You
all
better be
It's-
careful.
I don't know who did that, but I mean that's a danger. It's been up since last Thursday.
Yeah.
We've got
I've been
problems with-
hammered on it, and rightfully so.
We've got problems with debris all over the state roadways, the state highway. DOT went through and cleaned the roadways up within like 4 or 5 days. Said,
We're
we
done.
made our first pass, we're done. Jennifer's working with Pasadena and Byron Donald's office, so I can speak to their aides about, go show them our concerns so they can lobby against Tallahassee to make another pass. We responded back, why don't you make another pass? And we did that maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And they said, nope, we're done with our first pass. And I go, well, we're going to talk to FEMA and see if we'll get reimbursed. We'll get back with you. FEMA said, we're not going to, you can't get reimbursed because you don't own the road. If they would do the second pass, they could get reimbursed by the Florida Highway Association. So why don't they do it? And I said, I don't know. So we responded back saying FEMA's not going to pay for it. And they said, we don't care. We did our first pass. It's a responsibility of the local government to pick it up.
No.
So we don't want to pick it up because it's growing every day. Some people actually are coming from North Florida, just got here and said, wow, and they're starting to clean their property up and put it up
Yeah,
the road.
Highway 80's packed.
And I think some folks are bringing it in, like that on 27. I don't think that was local debris.
I think it was off of the back of their lot, but,
Yeah.
but we're getting into a life safety issue now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's on the road.
It is literally on the road.
But Shane, where DOT messed with everybody, they run out there and picked up a pile here and there first week or two. People hadn't had time to get it on the road.
That's true. They had it done within like 4 days.
Yeah,
And then since the emails went back and forth,
it's packed.
it's growing. I was just Friday. They went
But they
on the
shouldn't
side of the
be
road by
doing
the
that.
Lee County line, not in front of
Let
his
us-
house, just big oak debris.
Let us know. Do you need, I mean, and when the time's right, do you need us to exercise our leverage and call, Senator Pasadoma's office or
I'm going to
letter?
call District Secretary of one
And
say,
both,
hey,
yeah.
bud, we need assistance on this. I mean, Mr. Anderson doesn't have a claw truck or a knuckle boom over there sitting in his yard?
It's all contract haulers.
Okay.
And they got their yard there. They started picking up C&D. I want to say it was like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago.
They being FDOT.
FDOT.
Okay.
But, they're not picking up the horticulture debris.
Was
Are they taking their stuff to our pile?
No, sir.
No, so they have their own locale.
yard on Cowboy Way.
Okay.
Behind their office. Now,
Okay.
C&D, they may be hauling a straight haul. I'm not sure. But the horticulture was going behind their yard.
But when it's explained to them how they went about it, DOT should get back out there.
Well, and the safety that's
Yeah.
causing now.
And I think, I mean, I'm not worried about the 4 or 5 days or even 20 days afterwards. I'm worried about the fact that right now, 6 inches from that white line, if you just blink, you're into a log it's gonna destroy a vehicle and it's gonna cause a chain reaction. So, Mr. Engineer, what do you recommend? Do you want our chairman to hammer on District Secretary of one? What do we need to do, bud? Let's put a game plan together. Let's not leave till we get one.
Well, I'd say me and the chairman call the District 1 secretary. And then we still need a meeting with the aides to go. I think that would probably be the right route.
I sent them a detailed email of all the issues, and Trent has already sent that email to some folks and asked them to get on it. So we're in that process. So maybe
We can call too.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
in the midst of our
Okay.
waking workforce, have people that's waiting to work. I mean, we couldn't use workforce
It's just-
people.
Well, the reimbursement is the issue. What we're going to do with it, getting it done is not the issue.
Now, we are using some workforce for county stuff on
Yeah.
keeping up with mowing.
But we just said it's a hazard, it's a safety hazard. And while we waiting on them to move for us, then somebody might be in harm's
If
way.
something
There's no
happens,
doubt.
if
It's just
something
something to
happens, it's
think
gonna
about.
be DOT.
Yeah, and right now it will be, that's right.
No, it's gonna be every one of us.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all
Later.
gonna settle out, and somebody's gonna get paid, and it's gonna be loss of life, and it's gonna be really sad. What I would recommend also, Mr. Chairman, is that along with you two calling, I think you should throw out the offer that if they wanted to issue our staff and we just wanted to collect and know what the yardage is, you could put people on that.
We're ready to pick
Very
it.
quickly.
If we have to pick,
Yes,
if
sir.
it comes down to we have to pick it up,
Yes, sir.
we can mobilize our contractors to do it. We just won't get reimbursed.
Yeah. But I think, guys, we ought to say, today's Tuesday. I think by Friday, if they haven't pulled the trigger on something, like on that one right there, we need to just go ahead and do it. And if there's a couple out there that are like that, don't get me wrong, on like County Road 835 and some of the other stuff where there's stuff out there, and things where it's 20 yards off, I don't think that's a big deal. But we got some red flags out there right now.
Yeah, anywhere there's a safety.
Yes, sir.
Yep, that's right, and that's definitely one.
And they
Could
might
you
need
look
to
at that,
blame
Shane?
DOT, but
Could you make your?
I'll get
I
with
mean,
you. We'll talk.
you have the
We'll
ability
talk and
to
come up
assess
with a
that.
plan.
We'll
I can
make
do.
some phone calls.
Okay.
But main thing is meeting with the aides, and then it's coming out of state. It's coming out of state Tallahassee office, not even the local district. It's coming straight from the top. I don't know if it's governors or just straight from the state DOT office.
State.
Office.
Okay.
That's what I'm being told.
Well, I know. I mean, I can lean there as well if you
Yeah,
need.
we may
It's a
have
good
to lean there.
relationship that we have.
I heard a lot of counties are upset. Glades County says they're not picking up anything on the state highway system, is what I heard.
And they aren't, and their debris pile is getting bigger as well. And you're starting to see the constituents are putting stuff in and now you're also starting to see things get mixed a little bit too. More.
Right.
So that's just going to delay it even that much more.
And the
Make it
state
worse.
EOC rep said it's happening all over the state. There's
Yeah.
issues with this.
But they'll catch it.
Unbelievable. Okay, thank you. And you have another item?
I got one. Did we vote on that?
We did.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, I just want to make sure. The last one I have for you is pre-application for federal grant assistance to rehabilitate the apron taxiway and T-hanger taxi lane at the
So
LaBelle
moved.
Airport.
Second,
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Is there any discussion or questions, clarification?
no cost.
This is no cost to the county other than staff time. It's FAA and DOT fund, 90% FAA, 10% DOT. There will be a transfer of entitlement funds from Everglades Airport, around $250,000 to LaBelle Airport. Tommy spoke to Fred Ford with AIA. He had no objections. Grant applications due this November 17th. And this is a project that needs to take place. Our apron in front of the main hangar at LaBelle Airport and in the front northern two most hangars are in bad shape. The asphalt's really bad. And so this is a good project.
Very good. Any further questions? All those in favor of this motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Thank you.
Next on the item, Attorney Lapp.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, first item is one we discussed at the last meeting is about the exchange of real estate. I'm not sure of the American Prime, even swap with the exception of, they've got delinquent taxes. The original proposal was that we pay 2015, 2016, and 2017. The board asked that I try to get some compromise on that, so we're proposing a compromise where we pay 15 and 16, they pay 17. So our amount would be $1,138 this month. The closing probably won't happen until December, so it'll actually rise a little bit from that. But the recommendation is to approve the resolution allowing this to go forward.
So moved.
Okay.
Second,
Moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Next.
Next one is 4700 Pioneer 10th Street, tax deed property that we've taken ownership of. So the first part of this is to declare it surplus. We don't have any need for it. Second part is to authorize the initiation of litigation to remove the former owner, which is currently residing or camping, basically, on the property.
Okay.
so move.
second.
Moved by Commissioner Harris, second by Commissioner Byrd. Is that correct? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Okay.
Next item is the briefing on code enforcement items. At two prior board meetings, you asked me to look into 3 different issues. I'm getting back to you on each of those items. First is whether you can have a streamlined process for ongoing code enforcement violations where I understood it to mean that we wouldn't have to notify and we just would go and address the problem. That's a problem from a due process perspective. You have somebody notice before you take adverse action to them. If it's reasonable, take notice, and it certainly is with a single piece of property. We know who the owner is. We can send them a letter. So I really don't think we can eliminate notice. But for mowing, I think we can shorten the allowed time for correction. Right now it's 30 days, and I think that could be shortened up. It's really what is a reasonable time. I think 20 is a reasonable time if you're figuring they got the take the time for the letter to arrive, and then they've got to call a contractor or make arrangements if they're out of county, and so I thought 20 was a reasonable time frame. So if you agree with me on that, that would be an ordinance amendment that I would bring back to you at a later date.
Is 20, is that low as you can go?
Well, I mean, you could, the next increment you might think would be 15.
Because that grass just gets higher and higher.
You know, 15, the thing you have to think about is, you're mailing a letter on day 0. It takes them till, let's say, day 3 maybe to receive it. And then, people open their mail and they're not reacting, instantaneously. They need to call a contractor, especially if they're out of the area, or even if they're in the area, because it's usually not a place where they're living.
So if they got it to market, that would be 3 days to get it, and then there'd be 12 days.
You may conclude, I think 15 is the lowest, but if you wanted to go that low, I think.
Well, that's what I'd recommend, 15.
Second. Unless you wanted to go 72 hours.
No.
Okay.
All right, so we can do that, we can.
From
do this
32.
all, but I got 3
So it's
requests, so.
from 30 to 15.
Yes, and that
rather
would
than
be an
20.
ordinance amendment, that'll bring
You
back
gonna do
to
them
you later, so I'll
separate?
get you- Sorry.
You're going to do these separate?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay,
We
we
can take them up.
Okay, we just did this one,
That one was moved by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Turner is what I heard.
15 days.
To make it 15 days on the mowing violation, specifically mowing?
Yes.
Okay.
You need to vote on that.
We don't?
Yeah.
Because you're going to bring it back?
It's direction, and I'm taking your direction. So.
Okay.
I would
believe that's
like
the
to
direction.
just add a point to it.
Okay.
In the event this becomes, something that people are just setting their hair on fire, I'm all about listening and hearing and trying to understand. But for the most part, I think that I'm hearing everybody on the opposite side of the fence of saying we want to see reaction. So I appreciate us moving this forward.
Yep. And listening to Commissioner Turner's credit, for a couple of years, she's been beating the drum on code enforcement, and let's get some teeth, and let's make it happen and clean our county up. And we all agree. I don't think there's anyone that disagrees, and this is the steps that need to happen. So, thank you.
So everything you're doing is recommendations?
Right.
Okay.
The next one is whether we can recover our administrative costs in mowing cases. Our ordinance says we can. Beginning in 2008, the building official told staff not to do that, but as a result of research now, I found that he probably did that, and he's gone, but he probably did that because of a court decision that came out that said we can't assess administrative costs on code enforcement. You can assess fines, and fines are the way we did our, and I'm talking about overhead costs. I'm not talking about hard costs.
No, I
mowing
understand.
Costs, you can actually charge for that, but overhead is to be covered by fines. In order to collect fines, you have to do the citation process, which goes to county court. You can't have this short-circuited, send a letter, if they don't respond, go out and do it and bill them. You can't do that for a fine. And so, bottom line is, I don't believe that we can collect our administrative costs on our mowing cases the way our ordinance is set up for this streamlined, send a notice, they don't fix, we do it ourselves and bill them and lien it. No cost there. If you really want to get your costs, you're going to fine them through the citation process, which is much longer, and I got the sense you don't want to do a long process.
And
So,
then the bottom line would be the lien?
the lien for the mowing cost, we can impose and record.
Yeah.
So,
But
this is really a no action item unless you want to do citations, to do fines, to get fines for mowing violations, and that would slow things down.
You can't do one of the same, because here's what I'm driving at, is that current process is we create liens that just sit out there in perpetuity. Never is any action until an exchange occurs with said property, and or we foreclose on it, correct?
Right, that's the third item.
Okay, so I'll wait to listen to the report, because you're telling me, and I understand that the citation process would be that much, but you can't do those concurrently. You couldn't say, what I'm driving at, Mark, is that let's say this cat runs up a $2,000, mowing bill, and we do hit on it 2 or 3 times, but this becomes one of the, this is a 10% or 20% of the population that's creating 80% of the problem to this neighborhood, and it's just happening time and time and time again. I think that we should look at switching that one then, and then saying, okay, we should go into the citation process, because obviously if we send it to court immediately, we expedite the process, send it to court, we're running up our cost again to the county taxpayers, and just we're
So,
hurting the whole process.
So when you do the fine, Mark, does we recruit more money or more of a break even or what?
We do fines, and if there are pieces, there's just a requirement until they pay it,
But if they're not gonna mow the yard, they probably won't pay the fine
and
either.
this accumulates, and then that's part of the,
Right, and then you would still have the cost of mowing, because even if the judge, orders us to take care of it, we mow it.
You got to come up to your line.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, Kelly Anders, code enforcement supervisor, you're still gonna have the cost of the mowing that's going to possibly turn into a lien or still be out there, because even if you go through the citation process and the judge, eventually, what's gonna happen, if the judge decides to do a daily fine, then they'll do a daily fine, but that means that violation's not gonna be corrected until that property owner corrects it on his own.
Mr. Chair.
So it could go for years without being corrected.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
A daily fine sounds all sexy and hard and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us want to see that, but I mean, how many times have you seen a daily fine actually materialize?
Not that often, honestly, and that's what I'm saying. The other option a judge would do in a mowing case or an unsafe structure case is to give us a court order to go in and mow it and basically do what we're already doing. And so then you're still gonna have that mowing contractor that you have to pay, so you're gonna invoice the property owner and you're still gonna have a lien. So your end result's gonna be the same, whether we go through our current mowing process or go through the citation process.
Okay.
And the end result for me is, are we recouping our cost, or are we running up arbitrary bills and getting no money in the coffers for doing this, and being completely ineffective from a code enforcement standpoint? Because you can give me a bill for $2,000, but if I have no intentions of moving it, I'm leaving, and/or I'm just a squatter, and/or there are other precursors that are between my ears that cause me to hoard or do things like that. We need to start looking into those and maybe find wraparound services. But I just want to look at what the data tells us. Do we have 31 of these? Do we have 1,300 of them? Or do we have 3? And then what does that bill look like on an annual basis? And what kind of revenue are we not rendering? And what kind of a blight situation do we have occurring throughout the county?
Because we have regular customers.
Miss Kelly,
In Northville, that you just have to mow it regularly. Let it grow up, then you have to bush hog it.
And you're not getting paid for
And
that.
there's no intent.
We're a mowing service free of charge to them.
have you looked to see what other counties doing to resolve the solution? Because I'm pretty sure they're having the same problem.
Pretty much the same process. Some of them, the difference is that they would have the special magistrate, but it's the same thing. They would issue a daily fine, but with this type of violation, basically it's got to be resolved. If it's not resolved, a daily fine, the only way to resolve it is to actually go in and mow it. And so you're going to have costs.
Still gonna have a cost.
Right. And if they're not paying it, then you're going to have liens. So there's kind of, when it comes to mowing, it's really.
I'd like to see Mark find out if there's anything else legal we can do, concerning the land, because we doing this cycle. We just going over and over and over again. We're not getting any results. So we need to find another solution.
well, we are getting the result of this getting mowed, but as far as getting our money back, we don't until, like Commissioner Turner said, there's a land transfer or a refinancing can result in that too. Or a foreclosure, which is the third item we were going to talk about.
But sometimes they run those bills up where nobody wants to buy it.
We've been there.
That's why we're back in the same boat. We've run up a lot of costs, run up a lot of expenses, and we've done nothing but have someone come before us to forgive the bills that we
That's right.
ran up in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, we break the back / morale of code enforcement who have been doing their job, and then we just say we appreciate it, but they've given us this heart case, and we need to make sure that we forgive 100% of all the energy that you've put into this lot.
Mark, can you go ahead and wrap the third piece into that, so that maybe that may have some bearing also here?
Right. The third piece is you asked about foreclosing on code enforcement liens and whether the practicality of that, the logistics of that. So have some numbers here for you. As of August, 399 liens were outstanding on 145 properties, totaling $159,000 in change in total liens. You see the high one is $13,160, the low is $40. There's certain hard costs you're going to incur if you do a foreclosure. You fees, service and process fees, publication, if you get to that point, publication in the newspaper. So I calculated that at about $1,000. And then there's the question of, do you want to, depending on how many of these you want to do, you might need to outsource it for legal services. It's a few of them, I could do it. And so you need to consider the cost benefit return, you're not going to do that on every lien. Just using $3,000 as a cutoff point, and there's nothing magical about that, but I just think that is a number that you would say, over that amount, we're going to go after it, under that amount, we're going to say it's not worth our effort. There were 21 properties that fit past that threshold.
That was over.
Of the over.
21 of 399.
Right. Well, properties. 20.
No, 21 of 145.
Yeah.
145.
Some of the properties have multiple liens on them, I suppose, is why. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, because they have to mow them every 2 or 3 months. So
It's up to you. I don't particularly.
You don't want it.
To take 21 cases on.
I don't want.
You may
I don't
want.
want it.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether you want to pick the really high ones and go after it and try to get it going. Or,
I think that this changes the discussion of code enforcement in Henry County overnight when we make action on this. I would like to say I think this is a lot to digest at one point. I have not met with the county attorney. Have you all met with the county attorney?
Not about this, no.
How about this? How about a motion to table and we come back time certain in January, unless you all like to go to the last meeting in January, so that we can all sit down with the attorney on our own time and kind of game plan a little bit.
let's do that.
But I don't want to wait. I want to press this issue, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions in between now and then as it relates to this issue, because I think, guys, we need to turn new leaf 2018.
We need to do something different.
Okay. Mark, are you okay with that?
that's fine. Just to clarify, for the first two items, which were the changing from 30 days on mowing down to 15 days, and then the administrative cost part, we actually need to amend our code to remove that we recover those. It shouldn't be in there. So those two ordinance amendments,
It's technically illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So those two I'll schedule for a public hearing based upon the sentiment I'm hearing.
Okay.
But you'll go ahead and schedule that prior. You'll do that right now.
It's coming.
Yeah, I
You'll
moved
move that
it
forward.
until
Yeah.
December.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Then we'll come back in January.
Okay. All right.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. And
Thank you
you have a number 4?
Yes, the extensions of the local state of emergency since the last board meeting, we've had 8th, 9th, and then.
So moved.
Second.
Late last week was number 10, the chairman did sign, so I'll put the ratification of that.
Okay. Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of this motion say aye. Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Anything else, Attorney Lapp? Thank you very much. Ms. Butler has asked for a moment to speak about cemeteries.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer and I went through the cemetery lots the other day, and we talked about this, and in Fort Deneau Cemetery, we got 39 lots that are being reserved. In Ridgemont Cemetery, we got 23 lots being reserved. Harlem Memorial Gardens, we got 25 lots that are being reserved. Some of these people are making their payments, but I would say over half are not making any payments. They're not making any effort to pay for these lots. And when I write them, sometimes you get a response, sometimes you don't. I wrote 2 letters this last week to two different individuals. I got 4 lots back today that they said, we can't pay for them, you can have them. And I got 1 lot that was important to know, and I got 1 lot in Ridgemont back to back. Said, we can't pay for it, you can have it. I don't want to reserve lots anymore, at all. I want the people that are, if I was talking to Mark about it just briefly, have a resolution saying that the people that are making their payments, fine, finish them out, but I do not want to reserve lots in Hendry County in the cemetery anymore.
Okay, what about the people that's got them, but they're not paying? What do we do with that?
I send them a certified letter if it's over the 2 years, and tell them they have to pay for it in full, and I usually give them anywhere from 20 to 30 days to come in with the balance to pay for them, or their lot's going to be forfeited.
So if they paid $100, you can take the lot back.
Unless they finish paying it.
That's what it
They've had
meant.
2 years.
Huh?
They've had 2 years to pay
Okay.
for it.
Well, I don't have no problem with that.
Okay. But I don't wanna reserve them anymore. It's getting to be, you know, you take somebody that comes in and reserves a lot, and they wanna be buried next to mama.
Yeah.
Then when you call them and you say, look, it's been 2.5 years, you ain't paid me $70 on this $700 lot. And they said, well, I just hadn't been able to afford it, I ain't done this, I've hit hard times, and I said, I understand this, but we've sent you reminders, which we don't, really have to do, because we tell them when they sign up, this is your responsibility, we're not gonna remind you payments are due, you've got to pay for it within 2 years. Then, after it goes long, and then we say we're gonna take it back, then I hear all the squalling and the crying. And then when I said, I'm sorry, this has been by the Board of County Commissioners, this is what I have to do, then I'm the witch. It goes from crying and squalling to blaming it all on me. Then they want their money back, what they put down on the lot. I said, no, that ain't what your agreement says. It says you will forfeit the money. Well, I want that money back. I said, well, you're not gonna get it back. So then it creates another argument.
So Ms. Butler, the gist is you don't wanna allow
No more reserve.
no more reserve lots. If they wanna pay in full, they can do that.
Oh, sure.
But we're not into the make a down payment on your cemetery lot.
I'm not into finance.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
And what's the average cost?
$700.
That's the average cost.
That's everywhere?
All the lots.
Except for mausoleums.
Huh?
Except for mausoleum and baby lots.
Okay, so it's $700.
Yep.
Okay.
Keep in mind now, I worked in cemeteries for 18 years, and I understand the argument over here, but I'm gonna tell you, there's people that can't afford to buy 4 lots at a time. And for the ones that come in and make their payments every month, that's nice for them to have that opportunity to do. I worked in the cemeteries out there where those lots wouldn't be there next week. They would not have that opportunity. I get it. It's a pain in the neck. Ms. Butler's having to argue with them, but I'm usually the one getting cussed out in the cemetery there, which now Alan does that. Thank you, Lord. But the fact still remains. I mean, I don't see taking that completely away from the people that can't afford to come in here and buy 4 lots.
Are you saying 4?
They can buy up to 4 lots, then they have to have someone else purchase the other lots. They can't buy more than 4 lots per family. They can't reserve more. They can't reserve more than 4.
I don't have no
So-
problem with them buying them, as long
But
as they
she's
pay for
not-
them.
Well, they don't have $2,800 to buy 4 lots.
But
I mean,
she want to reserve them. You're not against the payment plan.
oh yeah, she wants to
You
stop it.
against the
Yeah.
payment plan?
Yeah.
They're only half paying.
See, the way it
My
works,
thing is, and on the reverse side of that, Commissioner Wills, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But on the reverse side of that, save your money, then come in and pay for them all at one time. Don't leave me sitting up there holding paperwork, waiting for you to come in and pay them, and then something happens, and 2 years down the road, you still ain't got that money,
we'll cut it to a year.
and then,
I know you got a year to pay with no interest. Just cut that year. If they don't pay nothing on it, take the lot back. But I'm
2 years.
not really.
You know, you tell them they got a year.
If you give them
They're
2
still-
years,
You give them 2 years, they don't pay for them, they're really not gonna pay for them in a year.
well, then you get your lot back in a year rather than 2.
You know, it's just,
I mean,
it takes an enormous amount of time for the clerk's office to do this, enormous.
I just wouldn't want to take that opportunity from them fully.
there's some that do a good job, Ms. Bird. They pay the bills and they do just what they need to do in
So-
order to have those lots.
But there's 3/4 of them that don't.
Can you get the actual numbers of that rather than just saying 3/4? Let's do that.
Yeah.
Give us the numbers of how many that do not, how many actually pay on time and do what they're supposed to do, and how many do not.
Out of these, there's over half of them that don't pay.
Well, but you should
Because
have
I'm
that.
sending
We
out
should,
the letters now.
if there's 300 people, then you should be able to come back and say there was 150 people, this is who they are, they did not pay. This 150 did what they were supposed to do, because you said half. So you should have that number there. You should be able to look at that and see that. Is that correct?
But I'm trying to understand. You said 39 lots in Fort Deneau. Those were coming back, or that's how many were reserved?
That's how many reserved.
And then 23 in Ridgelawn. What was the Harlem?
25.
25. So,
I've got 94 contracts.
yep.
But
There's
the
only
ones that
39 lots left reserved in Fort Deneau? I sold 4 or 5 times that in 18 years, and they must have been paid for.
out of
I
the
met
30
one family out there who got 16 lots, so there's only 39 left.
I've got 2 file folders this thick
Okay.
of lots that I have taken back.
Okay, well, that's better, when you said 39.
Yes.
On the 39 that's reserved, has payments been made on them? They're just not completed?
No, Ms. Bird.
None?
Ms. Bird, it's 80, the numbers that she gave us is 87, I think, 87 reserved that are out there right now, between
That's
the three
throughout.
cemeteries.
Yeah, the cemetery, four cemeteries.
I recommend that we send a letter and give them a deadline to pay it. If not, let them know you're pulling it. Give them the opportunity to come in and start payment, shorten the time like he suggested to a year, but allow them to, still have it. And I understand it's a hardship, but
What you're not understanding, I send them letters when their 2 years is about up and say, just a reminder, you've got till this date to come in and pay for these lots. They don't come in. At the end of it, and sometimes I don't get back to them for 3 or 4 months.
and I understand what you're
And I
saying.
send them a certified letter then and say, look, I'm giving you 20 more days to come back
Well,
to pay for these lots. If you don't, you're losing them.
have you been pulling the lots when you send a letter?
Yes.
Well, then pull the lots.
But that takes a lot.
She's trying to avoid having to go through the
But I
minutia
think-
for a
it's
large
arguing
percentage.
And the emotional stuff that goes with it.
But I think we just
Yeah.
can't not, even though it's hardship, that's what they get paid for. I don't think we should just not do it. I can understand if we cutting the days short, but I don't think we should just not do it.
But I think your question is, you don't want to finance any more lots.
Yeah.
Let a bank finance them,
If
or
we're
save
gonna-
your money.
Or save the money and come in and buy.
So keep it on the pillowcase until you
But
got
this was
700.
one of those things, Mr. Chairman, when I first got on, we were,
I've asked
baseline-
about this now for 3 years.
I don't remember this being discussed, but I remember our baseline cemetery, the county was covering a cost, it was like $2,100 or something for the indigent person or, the ones that just didn't have the ability. And we ended up pulling that back. It was a cremation process, and then you had some different options that you can consider there. I hear two of my colleagues saying they have grave concerns over taking 87, or just, we have 87 people that are in this process of reserving a lot so that they have the ability to have a plot. I don't know how long these have been in existence. I don't know if these are more than 2 years old or what. I'm also hearing the clerk say that this is running up her cost of operations. I would be receptive to what Commissioner Wills was leaning towards, which is maybe just hitting the pause button a little bit and coming back time certain on this so that we can digest the information that's in front of us a little bit more and have the ability to know what the hard numbers are. And then maybe if this is something that we do a trial where it's a 1 year or a 6 month or something like that, just to see if that increases the percentage of those that are not paying on it. It sounds like the clerk is going to come back to us, though, no matter what the time frame is, and tell us that many people are still in default. So
6 months, a year, or whatever it is.
yeah, but
Still
I'd
not
like
in default.
to give a couple different scenarios and kind of marinate on it a little bit.
Like you do your lot.
Why don't I do this? Why don't we come back to the next meeting and I'll show you over this time how many I've taken back, how many's in default.
And how many's outstanding?
Well, they're in
All
default,
these
they're
are
outstanding,
outstanding.
so how many's actually been, well, if we're gonna look at that, let's look at all the whole apple in the box. Let's look at the ones that's been paid on time, faithfully, and been taken care of just like it should have.
Right.
Look at the ones that have not, look at the ones that you've taken back. That gives us 3 numbers to look at.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the ones that made payments that paid them.
You can tell us the ones that are making payments now that are
Yeah,
making.
but I can't tell you the ones that.
We don't gotta go back.
Historically
Yeah.
have done. I got you.
Don't have to go
But you're
back.
saying they
After that,
they
I'll
pulled the
issue
trigger. They've
them
done. I
an
got
email,
you.
and
Right.
that's it.
The numbers you're showing us now,
The ones that I haven't taken back, I've kept in big
perfect.
folders.
Yep, do that, then you show the numbers that's in default, the numbers that's right now where they're at, and
Okay?
go from there. Like I said, you say it's a bad situation, well, meet a family out there. Do that once. Spend some time with the staff and go out there and actually meet a family and see these families that don't have that money, but they have $70 extra or they have $140 extra that they can put on a lot. And another problem that you mentioned a while ago, the indigent burials, we had so many of those that all of a sudden, mysteriously, they got a $5,000 headstone.
They do that all the time.
Exactly. Well, that's the same thing as the problem with the cemetery. So, I mean, there's,
They can't afford to pay for them, but they can go out there and put up a big monument.
right.
Well, I don't know any of that. just so we're having this conversation, and I shouldn't say this, but I can't stand cemeteries. I've never liked them. It's just something. It's just something emotional for me. I don't like them, and my family's always been mad at me about that. We had a big discussion about cremation and all that. I don't want to be in a cemetery ever. But with that being said, I tell y'all this all the time. It's one of the top 5 complaints that people hammer me on.
Sure.
But there's a lot of misinformation about the cemetery, and like I think that the people that take care of our cemeteries, they do a pretty darn good job with the tools that they have.
Yep.
But I think that the misinformation that I hear from the constituents so many times is like they I'm going to say it wrong, but it's the piece that it goes over the slab. Okay, so the slab will be off-centered, or they'll have the border around it, and there will be, weeds and stuff growing up on it. I don't even know, and I'm pretty sure that's not our property at that point, but I don't know. But they want the county staff to reline that staff, or reline that slab, or they want county staff to go in and pull those weeds. And I don't know how we get that information out. I think that we need to have a public awareness campaign about our cemeteries. I'll also say this, though, to Commissioner Willis's point about that's a time where it gets really sensitive for people. Man, how angry people get about the entrance into our cemetery at Ridgelawn. I'm speaking specifically to Ridgelawn now. And now that the cedar trees have been blown over, they're really angry about it. And I was glad that staff went out there and picked that place up. And I think y'all did a good job of jumping on that without any, there weren't a whole bunch of discussion points. It's just y'all went out there and cleaned up some banging trees and stuff. But I do think that we need to have a full workshop on just cemeteries, A to Z, and talking about this because we've got to do a public awareness campaign, Ms. Butler. People have no clue what is their responsibility and what is our responsibility. And I'm just a one-man show trying to tell them. And I don't know if y'all get the same complaint often, but I get it often. And they're hot.
When they get their deed to their cemetery lot, they get a copy of all the ordinances that's ever been passed by this county saying what's allowed in the cemetery and what's not.
They don't read
And
those.
Ms. Butler, you know as well as I that if I asked them to reference their deed, you know how they said they call you a witch whenever it's your turn to take that back? They don't call me a witch, but they get after it.
Well,
And
I was putting it nicely.
I know you were. And I don't, listen, I don't know what the deed says. I mean, I go out there and there's POW flags, and then there's giant flags that you would see at a tailgating, party, and then there's little stuff. I don't know what's right, what's wrong. And like I said, cemeteries, I've never been a fan. They're about on par with a golf course with me. I don't like either one of them, and I don't want to ever rest in one. But I got a lot of family out there, and I go out there and I pay my respects. But I think that we need to do some sort of a public awareness campaign because there's a tremendous amount of misinformation, and it makes the poor old guy that's out there maintenance in that place, man. He's public enemy number 1 so many times, and I say, yell at me, don't get on to him, please, because he's just doing his job. But I don't know what the heck his job is.
Yeah, staff addresses that. Every family we meet, every family, is told what they can have, what they can't have. Every time we meet them about a leaning headstone, we do tell them that's not the county's responsibility, that is your property. Once the border goes on the property, the county is not allowed in that property. Those weeds belong to the family. Until it becomes an eyesore, it has to be posted for 30 days. After 30 days, the county can remove and clean anything that they need to do. But everyone is told when you meet them, you can have this, you can have that, you can't have this. This is what you can do, this is what you can't do. I did it myself. 95% of the cemetery was me. So I know. But I can tell you, 30 days later, I would drive back in. Yep, you couldn't have that, but it's there.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that, the staff is getting the information out, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it didn't matter. I guarantee you, Cricket, she didn't listen to any of that. She
no.
wanted hurdles
None
and
of them do.
high jumping mat and spikes and all that. We're like, hey,
It's the same things with headstones sinking in Ridgelawn. Every year we got to complain about that. They're sinking.
What happens
Yeah,
is
you wait a year to put them in, or they're going to settle. They're going to move. We told them that. It's going to take a year. The ones that are in flat section up there, I know you got beat up a lot on it because they was telling me, well, I'm calling my commissioner. I said, perfect.
Yeah.
Call him, because guess what? I can only do what the board tells me I can do here. I can't dig that up for you. You're going to have a contractor come in. So that's all addressed on a daily basis. I believe Alan If he'd come in, he'd tell you the same thing. That's not a once-a-month thing. That's a daily basis. I'd spend days in the cemetery marking stones, marking problems, doing stuff like that, so.
So are we, because when he goes out there to look for one, they call us, and we stay on the phone with him, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
For hours. And it takes one of my clerks hours. And it takes, I'm the one that deals with most of it, you know. And there's times you don't do anything but cemetery all day long. Because after they pick out a lot, then it's up to us to do the agreement if they reserve 3 or 4. Explain to them what's going on. Take their money for the cemetery lot. Take their money to record their deed. Show them what the, you know, give them the deed and give them their rules and regulations, you know.
Well,
And
you over the couple of years, you've expressed a lot of concern and frustration, and this is just one. Now we've got to establish that at the next meeting, we're going to get some hard factual data on this particular issue. But if there's others, what I would encourage you to do, let's look at everything at one time. Can we do that?
Please?
And so if you've got that, if there's other issues that we need to address, the time is right for us to talk about it.
But even what Commissioner Turner said, mostly it's only one person that goes to the cemetery, so it's 12 of us. So I might have been the one that went and they discussed it with, but the whole family don't know that they can't do that and they should do that.
Yes, ma'am.
So like you said, the awareness is needed because everybody don't go when they pick out the area that they're going to bury their loved one in. So anybody know that one person. So everybody didn't get the instructions.
And a lot of times they die and nobody ever goes back.
That happens a lot in the older cemeteries. It really does. I mean, there's no one there any longer, and we're stuck taking care of it.
And you
I
can't
mean, reality is that we have the cheapest lots in the area, and the hardest problem is keeping the outside people from coming in and buying them. And when they went up with the rates, that helped, but it still doesn't stop the situation. So, I mean,
Mr. Chair, also, you know, that was one other thing too that I wanted to ask on my cemetery discussion. I wanted to ask about. We do need to look at landscaping, and I mean it's starting to look very rough out there, and a different type of entrance. But I'm not talking about tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm talking about just cleaning what we have up and making it look presentable. And I don't know legally, Mark, but we discussed at one point a Hendry County resident. They do get a different rate. Is that correct? Okay.
Hendry County, or you got a mother, father, brother, sister,
medium family.
grandparents,
Yeah.
$700. If you don't have anybody buried out there and you want to be buried in one of our cemeteries, it's $2,500 a lot.
Okay.
Maybe you need to go to 3,000.
Well, that would be some. Good
That's
data
not
to
the
see
problem.
as
The
well.
problem is the ones buying the lots, and all of a sudden they slip through the crack and they bought
Let
it.
me give you a good example.
So,
There was one of the $2,500 lots that was beaten at the commissioners really good. You know, they wanted to be buried in Ridge Lawn Cemetery. Okay, worked over here for years. You know, not the one that bought multiple ones, but another one. I had to call him finally, and I said, look, your time is up to pay for your cemetery lot. You went to my commission many, many times about this cemetery lot. You wanted it. And I said, I will give you 10 more days. And this is 3 months after it was due. To come in and pay the balance.
That's absurd.
And he did.
Fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna check that. And then had the nerve to tell me that I was rude to call him about the cemetery lot.
Well, you would.
well, when you do that agreement, Mark, just out of curiosity, and maybe I'm off base, but there should be somewhere in the language that would clearly state you have X amount of days to pay for this lot. If you have not paid for this lot, it will return to the county. You will forfeit everything there. Is that correct?
You know how many
I
people
mean,
do that?
well, no, it doesn't matter. At that point,
They sign it.
at that point, we
there.
have a legal
It's
binding
there.
document that says, here you go, you're
It's
done.
there now. That's in place today.
Well, need to change the time on it, just be done with it. If you don't pay for your car, they're gonna come get it.
Well, the thing about it is, though, is they won't pay for them in 2 years. If you set it back to a year, the only thing we're gonna do is gonna be a turnover quick.
You're going to deal with it sooner. You're going to deal with it 1
Maybe,
year rather than 2.
then maybe it's gonna spur them into paying for their lots. Like I said, I get it. I understand. I know it's aggravating. It's
Commissioner,
no more
you're just
aggravating
trying
for
to be
them.
empathetic to the reality. of it.
Exactly.
I understand.
I'm looking for the
And
And I don't
constituents
think
of our
I don't
county.
think you're not being empathetic. You just wore out.
There Mayor, but my thing is, you know, Mama just died.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're upset. You know, I don't want nothing more, I want to be buried by Mama. So they come in, they put their $70 down. That's it.
And you never see them?
Never see them again.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's
That's
also,
the thing.
At least put
You never
half
see 'em
of it
again.
down.
You
That's
send
all.
a letter,
Yeah.
and then before I take it back, I send them a certified
And
letter.
they're already
that's
buried.
also why they cut it back to only 4 lots, because before, previously, you could reserve as many as you wanted, and it cut back to you can only reserve 4 lots. That was part of that. You know, maybe you cut it back to 2 lots. So here's a situation, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have maybe an older gentleman or lady come in, maybe lost their spouse. You're gonna tell them, well, you're not gonna be able to be buried next to him or her because you don't have an extra $700? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a family of 10, 12 people coming in. If you reserve the lot, I mean, we went through this a few years back just to get the veterans lot situated where we could have the spouse with them there, which it should have been that way all along. But all of a sudden, it took all this time and effort, which the clerk's office did most of that. So there is issues with the cemetery, but I just don't see completely taking away the option of
Yeah.
reserving a lot.
I think
going out like a
that
rocket.
we've got a full month now to discuss some issues and come up with some ideas.
So,
And I think that we can do that and then look at some data would be very interesting. And I look forward to hearing some solutions that would be beneficial.
So
And I think that we can do that.
Barbara, one thing, okay, they bury the person, give you $70, don't pay any more.
Has to be paid in full.
No,
So-
the one that they buried somebody in has to be buried.
Okay,
That's right.
so they don't give you 70 and then bury them.
No.
This is on the reserve lots.
No, they call that indigent, then put a headstone in.
Well, Commissioner Harris said we finna exhume some people.
No, he was trying to figure out how to get out of paying for
Yeah,
his.
more than likely, yeah, there you go.
Wondered how
He was gonna give you $70 now is what he was gonna
I
do.
did check around other counties, they do not reserve cemetery lots. No,
There's only a few actually county cemeteries, most of them's private in the area.
yeah, but there's.
The majority are
in-
private cemeteries.
But there's some in
Really?
counties, in different counties.
Yeah,
Oh,
counties,
they
counties
are
don't do that.
expensive.
Most counties do not do cemeteries, that's all private.
They Miss Butler would be happy to privatize ours.
Oh, we would too, yeah, absolutely. I might, might need a job here again one day.
I'll give all this to the county sheriff, like
I'm
that.
glad.
Yeah, I'd be glad to give it to
We
you.
look forward to hearing from you in December. Look forward to talking to you between now and then. Next thing on the agenda, hearing of the public. Is there any members of the public wish to discuss anything? I don't have any speaker cards. Does anyone wish to come forward? You can fill one out when you come up. Reports for other business, I have nothing. Agenda additions, I have nothing I'm aware of, correct? Business by district, Commissioner Wills? Commissioner Byrd?
Just want to thank the Henry County Sheriff Department for coming out to Harlem, spending some time with the people, drinking coffee, finding out what they can do to help what's going on in our community. On the behalf of the Goodwill, which is sometimes a sore tooth, they're trying to make arrangements. This is for the commissioners to know. They're trying to make arrangements where it's open back up to the public, but they're short of drivers. So one thing I have been doing is putting out, letting people know that they need drivers. So they are paying 10 something an hour. You have to have a level 3 background. So, let your people know that they need drivers. So other than that, looking forward to getting on the road.
Very good. Yep. I know that several of us are leaving after this to go to Sarasota for the policy and legislative session preparation. So look forward to that work ahead and look forward to representing Hendry County and our constituents and what we need. So look forward to seeing y'all there. Commissioner Harris?
Jennifer, on Goodwills, are they doing better?
Well, they paid half of what we requested, and then we gave them another deadline, for November 3rd, and I don't know if they paid that or not. I don't think so.
Okay. So, did y'all come up with a number of what, we're not gonna let them go no higher than 10, 20, or what? Did we come up with a number for that?
No ceiling on what they can do.
Well, they don't need to be running up a $100,000 bill or $80,000 bill. Because one day we're gonna get stuck with it, and the people's gonna come through the door, and the older people are gonna look at us, it's right here.
Well, we are not, you, in your budget process every year, approve a contribution to their organization at $40,000, I believe it is, or
Right.
$45,000, and we are not submitting that, obviously, until we get this rectified.
Okay, do you know exactly what their bill would be per month Can we find out that, or unless you know?
Can I take a stab at that? I think it would be almost impossible. It would be almost impossible, I think, because there are so many different variables associated with their ridership. And they are funded through at least 3 different pots of money, but maybe even more.
Right.
And, I mean, Commissioner Harris, listen, I struggle with Goodwills. I don't know if y'all do it, but every time I see a bus, I count the heads. That's all I ever see. The most I've ever seen is 2 people in a bus. It's the most I've ever seen. And I don't care how fast they drive. I guarantee they don't drive faster than I do. But I just think that we really got to look at this program.
Which, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and I don't see the volume of people being moved. And I just wonder if it's a simple tweak of just setting, we're going to be at this place at 9, at this place at 9:30, and this place at 10. But maybe I make things too simple.
You could run a taxi cab.
You could run a taxi
about
cab.
a third of what they do.
But that's how it's ran, the one that come from Walmart through Harlem, through Belglade. But when they're when they're transporting somebody, it might just be that one person and whoever ride with them.
Yeah.
If they have to go to Tampa, then that person and their rider is the only 2 people.
See, they don't need a bus for 1 or 2 people.
Can I tell you this, Commissioner Harris? I really think I know that we're on such a finite number of dollars, but I've looked at buying 6 different buses on Gov Deals and Public Surplus. I've almost pulled the trigger on 2 of them because I think I was just going to donate them to the county, but I couldn't get them at the right number. They were from the city of Boca Raton. The last 2 that I went after, they had every little thing, and I looked into the liability, everything. Commissioner Mansfield at DeSoto County, he does this. Buddy does this. But I think that this is something that we really need to look at all the pros and cons of bringing this in-house and just having a bus on either side, and then having a relationship with Glades County where they give us $5,000 to $10,000 a year, and then also I'm telling you, Western Palm Beach and or District 4, District 6, they have money. They would be receptive to us. District 1, but the lobbying agency that we would be going up against with Goodwills and the Transportation Disadvantage Program.
I believe Glade County will work with you because they're not even serving them because we
adequately, right?
Right, because they were supposed to transport so many students to Fort Myers and
it's not happening.
They never picked them up. So they're, I can see them working with us to make it happen. So.
And I'm not gonna say I'm done with them, but I'll just say this:
I'm getting close.
I've tried to, They court you with, well, let us know where your voluminous amount of employees are, and we'll take them to and from. And it never materializes. And you're going to tell me at Southern Gardens or at U.S. Sugar, at those main corridors, there's not a herd of humans getting on, that if they couldn't pick a dozen or 10 people up. But you just put a handful of people on one of those buses, and I just want to pass by one bus one time and see more than 2 people on it. Just once,
I never have.
Never done it. And then I go to I sat out there. I'm a stalker. I went to breakfast at Beef's, and I come out, and the one van is sitting there with no one on it, and then there's 2 more over there picking up people for dialysis, and I get that, but I'm just looking at it from an overhead standpoint of, I know they got smaller vehicles, so maybe they don't have the ability to get the person in on dialysis because maybe they're, they don't have legs. I don't know, but I do think it is something that we need to look into. And I know that y'all have had a number of conversations and y'all thought about pulling the plug and being done with it.
And another thing too, you'd be surprised to know what the CEO makes.
I'm not surprised. I know what he makes, and I know what the previous one made. And
it's way too much.
And I just think that we need to look into it. That's all.
We'll do all that in January.
So are you done with business?
Yes.
So the only thing I was going to say was that I'm looking forward to. Are you going to Sarasota, Bub?
I gotta have a nose job.
Okay. My man. Next thing you know, we're going to lose them to Hollywood.
I do.
Okay. Well, I will pray for you, and I hope that goes well.
It's bleeding.
My dad told me one time that I need to go see the ear, nose, and throat guy.
This is a different kind than that.
My dad told me I need to go see the ear, nose, and throat guy to to get my sinuses cleaned up because I have really bad allergies. And he said, and I quote, while they're in there, they can fix your nose. It's like, I said, wait, what are you saying? He goes, you got a honker up there, bud. So, I like my hook. I like having an elbow on my head. But anyway, I digress. The Goodwills was something that I did want to bring up, and I'm looking forward to us having that conversation. I had a constituent that was in here, Miss York. I don't know if anybody's reached out to her. Shane, I don't think that's your department, but I would love for somebody to talk to Miss York and give me a report back on what's happening there. I will say from a code enforcement standpoint, yeah.
When she was here, she was building out a thing, and I asked her what she needed with the commission, and she was talking to me about it, and I said, there's Miss Emmy's right there, and there's Miss Andrews right there.
Okay.
And so they both sat down and talked to her for like 15, 20 minutes.
Good. You know, we're through the hurricane now, and we're starting to see a lot of residences that are that suffered damage, that are starting to try to recorrect themselves. I didn't know they've had their time extended, but could you give us a little bit of an update on where they're set up at and what the time frames are if there are people out there that are needing help? It's at John Boy in the Beardsley room, right?
Till Saturday, right?
Is it closed off?
No, it's now through Saturday, isn't
Through
it?
Saturday, and that's for independent assistance for a individual person, but then the extension for public assistance was extended to the 21st.
Okay.
So a non-for-profit or some other kind of agency like that can apply for assistance. And then for the long-term recovery, I spoke with them today. They're going to be at the EDC office the week of the 27th, and they're going to have a group of 4 to 5 people there to help all the public agencies, the county, the city, other non-for-profits that have a public assistance number issued from FEMA to work through different grant programs, possibly be able to waive matches for grants, et cetera, for us. And they're going to try to help make us stronger.
How long are they gonna be there, Jennifer and LaBelle?
4 to 6 months.
4 to 6 months? So we get to talk to them every day?
We do.
Okay. Because one of the big problems we got over there, and we've been talking about it a lot, is all of our creeks are full of trees, but nobody knows anything about who owns them, nothing to do with them. And so Jennifer's been communicating with FEMA, then we've talked to Pasadoma and all of them to try to get, they're all full of trees. We had trees all over our yard, they picked them up, but they're in the
Waterway.
It's
waterways.
the same debris issue. It's in a certain right of way. Nobody wants to take responsibility, but they're going to cause a drainage issue.
Yeah.
As soon as it starts
further flooding.
raining,
Right.
wait till rainy season.
Yep.
But they gotta be out before rainy season.
Well, I think that's one of the things I was, not that specific issue, but I was just wanting to make sure that everyone knew about FEMA and that there are resources that are available, and we got to help spread that word. And I don't know who all qualifies and how we help get that out to people.
I seen it today. It was nice. It was a real nice one. She did in Spanish and English and all. So.
Real nice article.
Good.
Yeah, some people did respond. She sent it out, and I sent it out on Facebook, so they did call because I think his name Vince. Is that who the gentleman I spoke with? Vince, and I emailed some stuff to him, and he sent it off. So when they got there, they was already on site, so they had the information. One thing that people need to know, they're asking for contractors. Like one lady had a problem with mold. They wouldn't just take her word at it or whoever they had sent in it. They want a contractor. So, one of the things I'm asking is that, who's a contractor in our county that can go in and say, hey, this house have mold, so.
Well, that's something I didn't know, Ms. Burr, so thank you for sharing that, and that's something that we need to get that out as well, because we do have people that can mobilize and move that needle, so to speak. I participated in the Economic Development Council's Education Task Force fundraiser, our annual fundraiser. It historically has been at the Captain Hendry House. And this year we moved it to the Dunwoody Lodge. We raised over $35,000 for education in Hendry County, and it was a wonderful night. Commissioner Swindle was there. We gave the Hendry County School Board Adult School, we gave them a check for $10,000 to help further his mission along with regards to increasing certification opportunities for young adults and anybody of any age really that's willing to engage in those classes. And then we gave an additional $5,000 donation to the Henry County School Board to Eastside, Westside Elementary here in Clewiston to help with a sensory classroom for children with LD and or IEPs or whatever it may be, but that's for those principals to set up and stand alone. We're going to do a lot more. I'm looking forward to aggravating Mr. Carlisle when I see him up in Sarasota about their training center, and I'm hoping also that he will agree to a date so that we can all get together, chat with them. One thing that I'm going to bring up at Sarasota, currently the state of Florida has a constitutional revision commission that is underway. There's a group of people, elected officials, I think there's a tremendous amount of private business interest, but anyway, they're looking at the entire state constitution and they're revising, and this happens once every 10 or 20? Once every 20 years. Big deal. I don't know who's actually at the table on behalf of the Florida Association of Counties. I know they've been engaged in some conversations, but a bill or a conversation has been engaged that allows for any entity that exists that is essentially offended by their own personal decree, if you will, that whatever other entity out there, so let's say Hendry County wanted to put a utility line in the ground or wanted to build affordable housing, and we lived in a utopia and we could go stroke a check and put in 20 units tomorrow. This current language that is being proposed says that if any one person out there finds that offensive from an environmental perspective, or they feel that it affects their quality of life, that they would be allowed to file suit and stop said event from occurring. And this could be extremely detrimental, and it, not just from a cost standpoint of us having to fight, but just from a standpoint of slowing down anything that is completely illogical, because we all know there's entities out there that just for the sake of suing, they will queue up said attorneys. So I'm going to make sure that this is discussed in the urban and rural caucus at the meeting that we're going to attend this week, and I'm hoping that it gains some legs. So I just wanted y'all to be knowledgeable of that when you hear it. So that's it. Y'all be safe traveling up that way.
Very good. One more quick question, and I'm not sure who to direct it to, so I'll just put it out there to all staff. I had a local contractor come to me and said that they bid on a demolition job, and lost the job by minimum amounts of money to an outside of the county contractor that pays no taxes here, and lost it only by a little bit. And there was no vendor preference or no county vendor preference on that. Can y'all enlighten me or help me understand that? In what instance would we not let county, in what instance would we not do a county preference on that?
Historically, we've been doing the lowest bid, and primarily because we're dealing with private property. So the whole idea was to minimize the dollar amount of the cost. And we have a procurement ordinance that has the local preference in it, and that had not been included in the demolition bids to date. And since I received a couple of phone calls regarding this issue, we've worked with Mark and Kelly, and we've revised those bid documents so that it would be included. But again, the logic was to get the lowest bid, minimize those costs, and it's talking about the liens and things that come up with the cost for demolitions and so on. But my point is that we're changing that, and not quite sure, how much of a difference it's going to make. Just so you know, sometimes we have a hard time getting folks to bid on things, but we'll be using that local preference going forward.
Mark, is that the only thing it wasn't on, or just one? Is it on everything but private?
No.
Is there anything else that does not have the local vendor preference that we would bid out? You all know it, so y'all are aware of?
Shane knows.
Well, anything, not just demolition, but road work.
Yes. Airport work, where it
Anything that's
involves
federal.
federal dollars.
Anything that's federal.
Has
No
to be.
local vendor preference
Right.
allowed.
Has to be just equal bid.
State sidewalk projects, which are federally funded lab projects, no local vendor
Okay.
preference. And then, depending on the state joint participation agreement they issue, sometimes it's not allowed on some DOT projects that are state funded because of the way the money's funneled to them.
Okay.
Not be a federal, but it's a certain program.
I totally get it.
And you
I
can't do
totally
it
get
for-
it. And
Yeah, that's
I would
fine.
strongly encourage staff that everywhere where we're not precluded from doing that because of federal funding or state funding or any other funding reasons, to please include a local vendor preference.
Because everything she's talking about is a money loser.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So on our local vendor preference, it doesn't give the ability for them to match.
No, it does. In the last few years, it does. It's a price match. The local guy gets to match the non-local lowest bidder.
So there would be no.
We do get best price now.
Okay.
The prior version of local vendor preference was if they were within 10%.
I remember proposing that language. I just wanted to make sure.
We would go up to
Okay.
the local guys and we'd be paying more.
But now you're
That's
saying,
no longer the case.
now you're saying you can match the lower one if you'd like. Okay,
Okay.
very good. Thank you.
Just
Appreciate the explanation.
real quick on that, though, I'm glad you brought that up, the local vendor. In some instances, we had local vendors that would bid on projects that really couldn't do the projects.
Yeah.
You know, it come back and bit us in the butt, like chillers and different things like that. And we was going out to a different source, and we had the same complaint. Well, you know, I bid the job and I was cheaper, but we need the job completed.
Right.
Well, we
What would
gotta
happen is, when they would get halfway done, we'd have to go bring the
Couldn't
other
complete
vendor
it.
in to finish.
Well,
So,
yeah, and in that case, I would hope staff would be bold enough to say, well, it's
Right.
because you're not qualified or equipped to do the job.
yeah, when we have in the past, but it's actually, like you said, it comes back to an instance, it doesn't matter. I'm a local vendor, I have that preference. and-
Yeah.
But is there anything to divert them from that if the staff choose not to use them?
Qualification.
Yeah.
They have to always be
Minimum
qualified,
qualifications.
And so that's the threshold that they have to meet. Now, that's sometimes a matter of judgment, but, you know, at least they have to be licensed. And normally we would, if we care about their qualifications, we might ask for more than that, like in particular, some references or
Right.
number of completed jobs or something. But that
Okay.
needs to be in the procurement document.
But they have that
Good.
right to tell them
Yeah.
no, okay.
Well, if
No.
they're not qualified, subject,
Two.
they could appeal that to you to say, well, I was told I wasn't qualified.
They
and
just
then
can't
you
afford
have
to
to
pay
say,
the
Right. Exactly. Good question.
We
Okay.
had that happen.
Anything else? Attorney Lapp?
Just, I know you're going to adjourn, and just so everybody knows it's scattered, we do have the East Hendry County Drainage District.
Yep.
Sure, I forgot.
Yep.
Forgot. On the debris pickup, when are we gonna start with the billing process? Like, okay, like City of Clueston, we picked up all their stuff. How's that all unfolding?
Well, right now, we've got a bill from Ashbrook that we're reviewing with Thompson, and as soon as we pay that, we get that squared away, we're gonna pay Thompson, then I gotta go through and make, like I was doing today, making sure what was in the city of Clueston that was picked up was all city, and wasn't picked up on a county road, identifying those ticket numbers and moving them over. Once we get all that squared away, then we pay our bill, then we'll proportionally bill them accordingly.
Okay. This month? December?
Probably December.
Okay.
And then we have the game plan. But like, looking at the program today, we had they picked up trees on the golf course that was billed to Hendry County. Should have been billed to the city of Clueston.
You gotta straighten a few things out.
Well, we gotta straighten that out,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we're having a conference.
I'm sure there'll be
about that.
several of those.
There are
You would
several.
think. Okay.
Yeah, so, but I want those bills to go out expeditiously.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Again, there is a meeting after. We have to reconvene. Ms. Davis, anything else? Great job tonight. Meeting adjourned. Does everyone want to stay for the Drainage District meeting?
Let's queue it up and go.
Anyone care to leave? Oh, no, Norman, I don't think so. Oh, no. You get to stick it out. We'll call this meeting to order. Mr. Parker.
All right, for the record, Shane Parker, Henry County Engineer and Public Works Director. I have a system update for you. We have an annual contract with Aquagenics for treatment of our canals, vegetation. That contract will be expiring on May 31st, 2018. They've done well.
You want a motion to approve?
No, I'm just giving you an overview.
So you already reviewed the contract and they have it.
No, sir, I'm just
So
giving,
you're just telling us that they're doing a good job.
I'm just giving.
But you said the contract's gonna be over soon.
Right, there's no action required on what I'm giving.
Okay.
This is just a brief rundown.
All right.
So, expires on May 31st, 2018. Great job. There's no more extensions allowed. We're gonna go out and ask for requests for quotes to spray the canals, bring that back before you for approval. If
Y'all have any questions about East Hendry County Drainage District?
None.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, no, no, no.
We do have things to do.
You need appointments. We don't have anybody. We're gonna,
I got a reappointment of 3.
okay, I make a motion to, reappoint Mr. Pierce, Mr. Ridgel, and Ms. McDavid.
Are they all willing to accept?
They're all willing to accept.
Second.
Motion moved by Commissioner Turner, second by Commissioner Harris. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
I'm
Any opposed?
also hoping to, I believe that, Brenda Holcomb is considering joining, but I want to make sure there's no conflict there. I mean, she's an employee, but I don't see how in the world it would be any conflict at all. I can't find anybody else.
Fine, Lake Ridge Estates.
What about Mr. Roger Flynn? Have you ever talked to Roger?
Elder?
The one who lives in Twin Lakes subdivision?
He would be
Yeah.
perfect.
No, I remember.
You need to aggravate Grandpa Flynn. He will
Yeah.
be perfect for that. Yep.
Are you gonna reach out to him, or you want me to reach out to him?
You're on it, Shane.
Forge his contact. Future projects? Done?
Commissioner Turner, he brought it up. I don't know what kind of projects he had.
No, it's on here.
We're
Last board meeting, you said projects, future project, September board meeting?
yeah. We need to do something with those rock pits over there, but, the legislature's gonna be about $1.3 billion short, so I don't think it's gonna be.
Probably not this year, huh?
Okay.
You mean the ones east of Clewiston?
I do know that, I mean, something internally I think that you would be receptive to is, something that's scary right now. When you drive down 835, right before you come to Shamrock or Davidson Road, there's a blind spot, and I'm not gonna say there's a tremendous amount of bad activity that occurs, but, you know, when you're looking at the Bo Pelham Park,
Right,
there's that, it's kind of like a handle, you know what I mean?
right.
And if we could get that also from US Sugar and get that cleaned, it would make that a much safer.
Just visit, to make it a straight
Yes,
rectangle
sir.
in there.
You can see.
You have 2 options. You can talk to Sugar, or staff can, or 2, we can ask them for, if they're not willing to donate, we can ask for a right of entry to go in there and clear it for.
Okay.
Well,
Safety
since you
reasons.
brought that up, they also complained about the trees.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
That-
Those trees.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I brought it to Shane's attention
Yeah.
right after the hurricane, and most of the time the lights wouldn't be out. It's not that the poles was down, the trees
Right.
was
Blocking
leaning on, was blocking them, so I had, people
that
out
part?
there. Yeah,
At that particular part?
that, on
No,
the,
no,
on the
on
canal.
the
On the-
corridor of 835.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do know that they are receptive to talking with us as well, Ms.
Yeah.
Bird, about trying to remedy that situation.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
No problem.
awesome.
Other than that, system's working fine. We had no flooding.
That's good. Wow. Future general discussion by the chairman, it says. Public comment? You seem to be the public here. Anyone ready to adjourn?
Yes.
Anything, Attorney Lapp? Anything else, Mr. Parker? Meeting adjourned.